It's 8 p.m. Hello, welcome to the Citi Newsroom. My name is Frime Dunyame.
And my name is Nathan Kwao.
Now, coming up, Ghana Independent Broadcasters Association GIBA questions government's tax waiver for Chinese firm Star Times in a deal on Ghana's terrestrial television DTT infrastructure.
Youth groups in the western and northern regions demonstrate against authorities opposing the inclusion of certain districts into the yet-to-be-created regions.
Now, also coming up, over 2,000 students of the Major MA cluster of schools in Accra forced to sit on the bare floor to study due to lack of furniture. Also coming up on Citi Newsroom, we'll take you to a section of the N1 highway where motorists have resorted to driving on the shoulders of the road. And later, we will tell you how 6 school children and 2 teachers on a school bus were killed in a gory car accident in the Takwa Nsoye municipality. Let's now take the details. The coalition of licensed labor migration agencies today petitioned the Ministry of Employment and Labor Relations over the ban on its operations after embarking on a demonstration in Accra. Today's process was to get the government to lift the ban that has existed for nearly 2 years.
Last year, the Employment Ministry banned the migration agencies from recruiting Ghanaians for domestic work in the Gulf countries due to constant reports of abuses. There's more in the following report.
These privately owned labor migration agencies recruit workers for companies and individuals usually in the Gulf countries. The Ministry of Employment and Labor Relations in 2017 banned the agencies from recruiting Ghanaians for domestic works in Gulf countries. The ministry outlined that the ban was part of measures to curtail many reported cases of abuse faced by some Ghanaians working in those countries. After 60 months of the ban, the agency has brought untold hardships on them. Convener of the demonstrators, Alhaji Atajebro Abubakar, who doubles as vice chairman of the Ghana Association of Private Employment Agencies, shares the struggles of the agencies.
It's affected in the way that before you get a contract, there's a deposit amount that you have to deposit from Dubai or Saudi or wherever you are going to get the contract. Some will tell you deposit $50,000. Some will tell you $20,000, like this. So when you deposit, there is an agreement within. They will come for an interview within 2-3 months. If you don't supply, that your money,
He believes the ministry has not been fair to them.
When the minister come to our podium and put the suspension on our work, we take it in good faith because he's our sector minister.
Revealing the positive impacts of the operations of the agencies, some beneficial returnee house helps in their host countries debunk claims of maltreatment.
Who said Madam no how flow agents or best I passed through an office. I didn't pass through any agent, any one man thing. I passed through an office. So if you are having any difficulty, just have to call the office. Me, Madam, no, Mammy, either they will come and talk to the madam or they change the house for you.
A number of them expressed their quest to return to their host country.
They say
I'm holding my offer letter in my hands now. I'm a returnee. I was supposed to return on the 18th of August. My company is Martin Gold in Saudi Arabia, in Jubail. I'm supposed to return back. I got to the airport and I was returned back. My offer is 2 years and I'm supposed to come every 10 months to Ghana and see my family and go back. Now I cannot go back. I'm stuck. What do I do? Which company in Ghana will pay me 8,000 riyals? 8,000 is equivalent to 12,000 Ghana cedis.
Receiving a petition on behalf of the Ministry of Employment, Sector Deputy Minister Bright Rekubrobi assured that the ministry will soon come out with a clear roadmap to the lifting of the ban.
The minister is working very hard to sanitize the system so that legitimately you can practice your trade. So on behalf of Minister, I assure you that I'll deliver this and you'll come up with a road for you to know when this temporary ban will be lifted.
The demonstrators are demanding a revocation of the suspension to save their dying business. Returnees are also expecting that the suspension will be lifted so they can go and continue with their businesses. Reporting for Citi News, Hansen Ajeman.
Now we have been joined by the spokesperson for the group, Dominic Kabina Beidu, to throw more light on this. Thank you very much, Dominic, for your time.
Thank you.
Right, so, we've seen the report. Let's quickly go on to the petition that you submitted today. What exactly was in it?
Okay. The details, one has to do with the fact that government would have to listen to us, go through our files to find out whether any of the members within the association has ever had one person reported to the Labor Department, whether he or she has been maltreated, whether contract terminated before the time is due, and secondly, also sit with us, dialogue, and then find a solution to the whole issue. So these were the things that we outlined in the petition that we submitted to them.
Right, so what has the conversation been for the past almost 2 years with the ministry?
For the past 2 years, almost 2 years, we have been chasing the minister. We keep going to the minister. But then the minister does not call us for meeting, but we keep pushing. We don't hear anything from them. What we heard was that they have set up a committee, and then the committee will come out with a report. The report is out. We haven't seen the content. The last time we went to him was in September, where he told us that
last year?
Yes, last year, September. The little he has gone through is that none of the registered agencies were mentioned, or nothing shows that whatever is happening has to do with the registered agencies. And so we were expecting at the time that, okay, now that you are aware, you are going to sit us down and then draw the roadmap so we know where we are going. But then we've never heard anything from him up to now.
Now, we know that the ban was announced at your event.
Exactly.
So take us through, what happened, how we got to that day.
Okay. We called the minister. We invited him that this is what is happening. And so we called a stakeholder meeting, where the minister was invited.
So this is what is happening. What exactly was the issue?
I think there were a lot of complaints on social media that people were being maltreated. And so we want to find solutions to the situation, because there are about almost 300 illegal agencies who are also operating in the same way. But you can't find them. We don't know their offices. And so we want all the stakeholders to come on board, help us to fish out these people. And under this forum, that was when the minister got the opportunity to say that, hey, I have suspended your operations. Even there, after the meeting or the forum, we went to him and he said it was actually for domestic workers, that is, ladies who go out there to do housemaid's job, but not for professionals who go out there. We said, okay, then go back, write something so that the media will pick it up, as you are indicating to us that you did that, but the media picked it up that way. Write something so that the media will be able to pick it and also put it out there. Then we can continue with our operations. That never happened.
Okay. Now, so what kind of people do you recruit? Okay,
we have over 20 categories of workers. We have construction workers, we have oil and gas workers, we have hospitality, we have port and marine operations, we have container operations, we have health workers, we have teachers, we have nurses. And we recruit across the globe, not only the Gulf. A cut across, a cut across the globe. So if the minister feels, based on the news out there, that domestic workers are being maltreated, that is one out of, say, over 20 category of workers. Pick that one, let's treat that one separately, and then the rest of the other professionals can continue with their operations.
Right, so it is very clear that the ban came as a result of complaints of abuse. So in instances where some of the people that you recruit call to tell you about some abuse, how do you deal with them?
Okay, first of all, we have never, the association, a member, I mean, I'm referring to the members of the association. We've never had complaints from our people that that they are being maltreated. However, there may be issues, misunderstanding between an employee and an employer. Even here in Ghana, it happens. In that case, there's a communication channel between the agency here and then the HR department of that company. So that discussion is always between the two institutions, the department, the agency, and then the HR department of the company, and then the issue is resolved. But as to say an agency member being more treated, that's no.
So how many members, agencies do you have under your association?
About 60 registered agencies.
All right, so this has happened today. What is your next move?
After the demo, we are waiting for the government or the minister to call us, even if whether he calls or not, and the dialogue. We feel that we have a greater opportunity to help unemployment in this country, because if you go to Labor Department and then request for data, the number of persons that we recruit to outside Ghana, I'm sure those informations are available that we can get. And so government should sit us down, dialogue, find solutions to those who are going against the rules or the laid down procedures in recruiting people to the Gulf, so that we'll be able to help the government resolve this unemployment situations or the problems that we have at our hands at the moment.
Right, now quickly before you go, so with what is happening, has there been any communication with the companies that some of the returnees work with? Are you mediating on their behalf?
Yes, for some of them, yes. Others, their contracts have been terminated. Aside the workers that their contracts have been terminated, some of the agencies also have their contracts terminated because, see, it's a global business. We are competing with other nationals. We are competing with Indians, we are competing with Philippines, we are competing with Kenyans, Ugandans, a lot of
people.
And so if you're not ready, they will shift the contract to another country and then they bring them in. Now, it would be great if the nation can tell us how much they get from the Gulf, as in transfers that they get from the Gulf at the end of every month. And let's compare the Gulf money that comes in versus the money that comes from Europe.
Yeah.
This has to do with employees.
Yeah.
Then we will see whether we are there or we are not there.
Right, so what timelines are you working with? Now you've submitted your petition. How long are you going to be waiting?
Okay, we have up to this weekend, that is by Friday, to see if we're going to hear from the minister. If we don't hear anything from next week, we're going to push hard at his door to make sure that at least he listened to us and then form a team so that we can have a solution to this problem.
All right, Dominic, thank you very much and all the best.
Thank you too.
Right, so I have been talking to Dominic Kabina Beidou, who is the spokesperson for the Coalition of Licensed Labour Migration Agencies, who petitioned the Ministry of Employment and Labour Relations today over the ban on its operations. Now, moving on, the limited registration exercise by the Electoral Commission has begun smoothly in the Bunahafo region. Citi Newsroom's Michael Saponifum visited one of the registration centres and reports.
The registration exercise is taking place in 17 districts, which fall within the proposed Ahafo and Bono East regions. During a visit to the Electoral Commission's office at Joyankwanta in the Tano South municipality, the registration exercise was ongoing smoothly. The AC officials were taking the new registrants through the registration process. Political party agents were also present to monitor proceedings. Yaga Meliamevo, the deputy registration officer, reveals the EC has intensified its education to urge those who have turned 18 and others who for one reason or the other have not registered over the years to use the opportunity to register to enable them take part in the upcoming referendum on December 27.
The registration process is going on well now. We had a few challenges in the morning. Network wasn't stable. By grace we are done, and so it's now smooth. This morning, a team was dispatched to do publicity, and so my colleagues went to the churches and all the gatherings that are available today, and so successful publicity is done.
Some of the new registrants spoke to Citi News after going through the process.
I feel very happy to register voter ID card. This is the first time that I have registered to vote and get the for reading. Even when I don't have the insurance, I can use this to go there and check my things.
I will use this to do my things. For example, I will use to go and to vote or to go to bank or to do my things.
So you are very happy?
Yeah, I'm happy.
I'm happy that because I can use I am here to register the voter's ID and I can use it to vote. And when I go to other place, they ask me a voter's ID.
It is expected that those who have turned 18 and other people who, for one reason or the other, have not been able to register over the years will take advantage of this limited registration exercise in order to be registered so that they can take part in the forthcoming referendum on December 27. For Citi News, I am Michael Saponinfum.
Several commuters who live along the Accra-Tema motorway have resorted to crossing the motorway on a daily basis to their various destinations. Despite the dangers associated with crossing the road, commuters believe they have no option. Citi News' Tema correspondent Elvis Washington has more on the dangers commuters face when crossing the motorway.
Some commercial vehicles have turned the shoulders of the motorway into mini lorry stations and bus stops. People who shop at the Ashaiman Mandela market also cross the motorway into the market instead of going through Ashaiman. Some of the commuters Citi News have been interacting say they have no choice except to cross the motorway to the other side due to the traffic situation. The motorway more. The way we are now, population coming here, accidents are happening anytime. Day and night, population getting here. The market don't do new one here, the crossing the fines are small, overhead price better. Every day, people that die. Because you say the bridge in the crowd, it sink, it go down small. So if the car, big car, the car, the way they're pumping down, it's no good. Because you say they'll go down to another person. So that thing which is there with the control cars, we will do everything day and night for a year.
I'm very scared because of the way the cars are very fast and we don't have a space whereby when the cars are coming, you see we are many. If you want to cross, the car will not allow you because they are also on speed to go to where they are going to. So it's very risky sometimes. And then we also suffer for it before we cross the road.
But what we have been seeing here is not easy. The motorway of yesterday is not the motorway of today. You have development. So if you say we are going to think about what happened yesterday, then we compare it to today, it's not going to be because we have so many factories now along the motorways. People have to go work and other things. So what the government have to do here, we need overhead, so that we have so many people from Accra, they can go to Ashama and take car. As some people have been saying, the law is you have to go to Ashama and you don't have to drop on motorway, or you don't have to pass on motorway. That is of the past. So the only thing is, the government have to do something here. We need overpass.
This is the Tema motorway, and one can see clearly the speed at which vehicles are actually moving. Even though commuters are very much aware of the dangers involved in crossing the motorway, they believe they have no other choice than to go through this risky way of crossing on a daily basis. For Citi News, Elvis Washington reporting from Tema.
Now, away from that, leaders of Katanga and Unity Hall Alumni Association have described as deceptive the reasons given by the KNUST management for the conversion of the 2 male halls into mixed halls. According to them, the association's efforts to engage the management to consider alternatives to their conversion of all halls were flatly rejected. President of the Katanga Alumni, Charles Donto, says they have petitioned President Akufo-Addo to intervene. There is more in this report.
The alumni of the University Hall, popularly known as Katanga, and their counterparts from the Unity Hall have used various platforms to show displeasure with the decision of the KNUST management to convert the all-male halls into mixed halls. The latest move by the group is to petition the president to nullify the current situation where females have been sent to these halls. Charles Donto is the president
of the Katanga Alumni Association.
Unfortunately, we are not making a demand from the president. We are not making a demand to the president. We would appeal to the president on certain issues. That's it. We are not making a demand. So we'll forward our petition, not the one we read. Unfortunately, tradition shows that you cannot disclose what you are going to tell an elder before you do it. So we'll wait, and then once we get to the president, we'll tell him the exact situation. Where we went to see the vice chancellor, that was way back in June or July, and his provice, the two of them were there, and the response was that if we can build a hall by August, which is the very next month, then he will throw this thing overboard.
He further laments the lack of proactive thinking on the part of the university authorities, which has created the unbearable situation of accommodation on KNUST campus.
BOT means build, operate, and transfer, which means that once you finish building, you can operate it to recoup the money you put in. After a certain number of years, you transfer it to the university. And I don't know how far this is true, but I hear that at Legon there are a lot of empty rooms because, of this policy. And nobody is making any noise about it. When they were, what was KNUST doing? Lazy. Yes, that's what it is. What were they doing? Big English. What were they doing? They are science students. They can't even speak proper big English. So the point is, if they had followed what Legon did, we wouldn't come to this sorry pass.
Lawyer for the joint leadership of the Katanga and Unity Hall alumni, Steve Bequin, argues that the resort to create all mixed halls is not the solution to rowdy behavior of students.
So if we stand here to say somebody are going to hold a press conference threatening that he will show his manliness or whatever, and therefore the hall must be turned to me, so how would that solve the problem? It doesn't. In fact, where the hall is full of women and even only 5 men, and the 5 men want to do something, they cannot be stopped by the women. So the solution does not lie in mixing the halls just to calm the boys. But we, apart from this, I don't want to go deep into the legal issues that are pending. We are also looking at Article 17 of the Constitution, which talks about discrimination. For every 10 females you take to Katanga, you dislodge 10 males.
For now, the alumni await the action of the president on their petition. For Citi News, I am Duke Mentor Opoku. Let's get back to some stories on roads, and commercial and private motorists have resorted to driving on the shoulders of the Tetekwashi interchange section of the N1 highway. The indiscipline of the motorists often worsens when the traffic situation is high during rush hour. Citi News' Anne Sheliziu visited the place and has more in this report.
The road, which was created to ease traffic on other routes to the central business district, has now been engulfed in the mess it was created to stop. The congestion on the stretch usually begins from about 4 p.m. during the evening rush hour, when many workers have closed and heading back towards the Spinters, East Legon, and Madina areas. The traffic situation over the years has become so intense that motorists using the road sometimes spend close to 1 hour in that area. In order to escape the traffic, the motorists, mostly commercial vehicle drivers, have unlawfully created an alternative route by using the pedestrian walkway and the lawns by the side of the road, even disregarding the police officers who have been stationed there to enforce law and order. According to these drivers, they have to resort to the unapproved routes to make their journey shorter. Here is one of such drivers who gave his name only as Francis.
As a driver, you are coming from where you are going somewhere. Maybe you have time to reach where you are going, and there's traffic. If you like to force your way out from the traffic, so that you can get your destination earlier than before. let's say taxi drivers, especially if you stuck in the traffic, your petrol, everything will finish, and you not get anything. At the courier to this place, I spent about 30 minutes before reaching here, and I'm afraid maybe before I get to the motorway, there's a traffic there. Driving very difficult in Accra, especially these days, because everybody want to get a car, want to drive in a car, and our roads are not large enough to accommodate most of the cars or all cars. A motorway like this should be about 4 lanes so that every car can go frequently.
This unlawful act has not only inconvenienced drivers using the approved routes, but has also made it uneasy for pedestrians to use the sidewalks created for them. Some pedestrians say they always walk in fear due to the cars they have to share their designated routes with.
Media is not fair, but normally when the police are around here, they don't do it. But when there's no policeman, they used to do everything what they used to do. I don't appreciate it. I don't like it. I should be doing like this. It's supposed to be in the same correct way. Maybe the lane that they are using is just double lane or 2 lanes. So it's making the cars are more than using the lane. So 1 year from here to Jolo, that will be the. I think if there will be expansions of this, it can be.
There's nothing that we can do. It's the duty of the police to come around and direct them, but they are not here. You see them in the morning or in the afternoon under the tree over there, stopping the cars. But there's nothing that we can do. We don't have any problem about that. We just wait until maybe one car stop for us, then all of us will cross the road.
You say, like, said, yeah, if I can, maybe I'm now, maybe so me per se, make sure I like, I quite say I'm confused. Until me, whom baby, I'm if I'm Hana can also be now, one be now, until a be a bombing.
To maximize benefits from this interchange, the MTTD, the Ghana Police Service, must immediately join forces to intervene in the unlawful use of the road by drivers. Otherwise, the Tetekwashi interchange area will become an area of mayhem and fail to achieve the purpose for which it was built. Reporting for Citi News, and Shirley Zero.
And in the Bunahafo region, commuters and drivers who ply the Atebubu-Kwame Danso Road want government to fix the road immediately. Citi Newsroom's Michael Saponinfum travelled on the road and has filed this report.
The late President John Evans Atamil's cast sought for the construction of the 31-kilometer Kwame Danso Atebubu Road 7 years ago. The 32.5 million cedi road project was expected to be completed in 2 years by a Wa-based road construction firm, ANN. The contract was later re-awarded to Ghanaian construction firm after ANC failed in executing the contract. But the situation still remains the same, and the sizes of potholes on the road keep increasing by the day. Because of the nature of the road, many armed robbery cases have been recorded on the stretch. Last year, Assistant Prison Officer Nanantri was shot and killed by armed robbers. A 30-year-old police constable, Frank Edu, who was escorting market women in a bus from Kwame Danso to Atebubu, was also shot dead by suspected armed robbers 2 years ago. Commuters and drivers are worried about the state of the road and are calling on government to do something about the situation.
Normal so nam power so best kuku kese munya no maketwa mbayele ebru last week befa ebru ko duru kwa say you know man nyina sa hye no foforo e na we nsu bidie ya say you know man nyina sa hye no foforo de srema madaroma mo hwe na me boy na munya kwan mai na ye block kwan so pa.
Since 18 good years now, we have been using the road from Atibu to Kwame Danso. We can use like 5 hours, 4 hours, and when we got after our work, we do a lot of maintenance. We are pleading that the government will get executive or you get people to come and survey the land, the road, and help us how we can work hardly and support us, use our goals. And sometimes when we harvest our goals, it is difficult for us to send it to Kwame Danso.
Papa bien, but to my 4 hours and son will do danso. So Kenya can be a
Ekwande mwae nti omuhe no meboa no munyamae. Bebia nse mekoso mezo sui. Bana kaya si twi. Ezo sui twi. So, yesra ban so meboa no nya kwan mae. Eble kwan so papa. Kwande eble so pa. Kwan mwae.
The chief executive for Atebuba Manti Municipality, Edward Owusu, revealed that the road has been re-awarded but was unable to confirm when the construction will begin.
Residents who use this road are urging government to speed up with the construction of this stretch so that it will be accessible for the residents of the Bronhafo region and other people who use this route. For Citi News, I am Michael Saponifum.
You're still watching the Citi Newsroom live on Citi TV. We'll take a short break, but when we come back, youth groups in the western and northern regions demonstrate against authorities opposing the inclusion of certain districts in the yet-to-be-created regions. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Witness the twisted and tangled story of betrayal, greed, vengeance, and love in the award-winning Brazil Avenue. Carminia, a woman led by greed, gets rid of her husband, who is Rita's father, and sends Rita away to a filthy landfill. Rita finds love in Batata, but they are soon separated by adoption into different families, far away from each other. Many years later, all paths cross again, as Rita, now a renowned chef, seeks to pay back her stepmother for taking away her happiness as a child. It's a story of twists, turns, suspense, and thrilling action in Brazil Avenue. Brazil Avenue, coming soon only on Citi TV. Brazil Avenue.
We spice up your mornings with culturally enriched conversations, social interviews, and policy-oriented discussions that will keep you updated on the progress of the nation.
Because we're giving only those in their third trimester. So in the next 3 months, those in their second would be ready to receive the kits. And we're taking data at registration, which is before they take the kits, at delivery and post-delivery, so that we can analyze and we'll see the numbers. So from the numbers and the data that we're collecting, we would know what has worked, what hasn't worked, you know.
Join the Breakfast Daily team Monday through Fridays from 7:30 a.m. to 10. Let your voice be heard with the hashtag Breakfast Daily. Join us for breakfast daily, only on Citi TV.
Thank you very much for joining us on the Citi Newsroom. Let's get to the Ashanti region, where residents in the Kumasi metropolis want the Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly to sustain an exercise to evict traders and drivers who operate at unauthorized locations.
The traders have taken over pavements and pedestrian walkways after the Assembly recently embarked on a relocation exercise. The Assembly today deployed a joint security task force to evict the traders and drivers at these areas.
The traders and drivers usually operate at the Konfanochi Runabout, Lebanon Club, Kumasi Cultural Center, and the Central Business District. The traders have refused to move to satellite markets at Racecourse and the Efia Kobi, where the Assembly has relocated them to. The Joint Security Task Force evicted traders and drivers at unauthorized areas at Pampaso, the Konfanochi Runabout, and the Central Business District. Some residents who spoke to Citi News appealed to city authorities to sustain the exercise.
It's the best way to go. I don't know if there is any proper city where people sell on the street. Sometimes you find people selling even things they fry, like fried yam and those things. And you have some of these cars that use gasoline as their source of fuel and all that. I think that it is not the best at all. It should not be encouraged at all costs. We should find a way of getting the people out of the street, because it is just beyond my comprehension. I don't understand why it should be so.
I feel comfortable because those who are selling things on the roadside are no more. So I'm feeling comfortable to move on like this, so that no more traffic. I just feel comfortable.
I feel relaxed walking on the street, because for some time now, when you are coming, you'll be struggling entering the central market and coming in. But I think today I feel relaxed walking. I want them to sustain, and it will help all of us, not only me, it will help.
The public relations officer for the Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly, Godwin Okumanyami, blamed the development on indiscipline on the part of traders.
Human attitude cannot be changed overnight. And for that matter, I would say it's something that we have observed that is attitudinal. Now we have two categories of people. We have those that are disciplined, who are listening to the assembly, and then we have those that are also recalcitrant and indisciplined. So the disciplined ones, of course, when you move to the satellite market that we have, like Abinchi, that is a Fiakobi market, you realize that trading activity is ongoing. Equally, when you move to race course, transport activities and then trading activities is also ongoing. So we have a crop of traders who are there trading. Then we also have some of the transport operators who are also there. Then we have others who, despite the continuous effort by the assembly, by educating them, even the contribution by the media and so on and so forth, still want to do their business on street and pavement. So it is those who want to do their business on street and pavement that we are clearing. And for that matter, we need, all of us need to understand the exercise. That the assembly is not harassing anybody. The assembly is not harassing anybody at all. The assembly is not harassing people who are selling in their shops, neither people who are at the market. It is those who want to do their business in the street and pavement.
This is not the first time the Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly is carrying out a relocation exercise within the Central Business District. But the traders come back to the streets after the task force come in to move them away. Residents in Kumasi want the assembly to sustain the exercise. Hafiz Tijani, Citi News, Central Business District, Kumasi.
Now in some other news, many more fuel stations in Accra have now increased fuel prices to 5 cedis, 12 pesos for a litre of petrol or diesel. Checks by Citi News at some major oil marketing companies across the country reveal that prices have gone up by between 2 and 3%. Already, some consumers are complaining of the hike in prices. Ni Ama visited some fuel pumps and now reports.
Just last night, the figures on these boards were far lower than they are today. Cedis 94 pesos and 4 Ghana cedis 90 pesos per litre of diesel and petrol, respectively. At the time, only Shell had increased its prices. But today, almost all the major fuel stations have also adjusted their prices upwards. Although consumers expected the hike as the second pricing window in September approached, they said the new prices had caught them by surprise. The consumers who visited these fuel stations spoke to Citi News.
It's quite difficult. But I understand the situation, so I'll cope with it.
The individual is too much for us, so we plead the government to reduce it light for us, so that we are suffering. It will take almost 400 Ghana before the tank will be filled.
But at first, how much were you?
It was 350. Yeah, so right now is too high for us, so we should reduce it for us.
The fuel price in the Kuya, I was buying a not so. You say, Juma, and no one the tofu, but 200 Ghana, my fellow metan. It's metal 200 and my fellow metan.
However, there are still some fuel stations that are yet to move with the trend. At these 4 pumps, prices remained well below the dreaded 5 Ghana cedis mark. Though the current price here is lower, this Okada operator cannot remain optimistic.
The fuel price is no good because nowadays the market itself is not good for us, and they've increased fuel. Yesterday the fuel was 4.900, and we should wake up today and see the fuel 5.120. It's not fair. They haven't increased, maybe because what they were selling now is the old fuel that they are using. But right now, let it finish and they should get a new fuel. By all means, they will increase. That's what people are buying. It will finish. But when they bring a new truck of fuel, they'll increase it by all means. They cannot stay and be selling whilst the rest have increased. At least they'll increase something on it.
It is now clear that the rise in fuel prices has hit several of the filling stations here in Accra, and it seems only a matter of time before the few filling stations like the one behind me also increase their prices. Reporting for Citi News, my name is Sni Ama.
Let's do some other stories. And 8 people, including 6 school children between the ages of 3 and 14, 2 teachers of the Learners Bridge Academy in the Takwa and Suayin municipality of the Western region have been killed in a gory accident that occurred between Apemenim and Takwa on Monday. The accident occurred when they were returning from school. Confirming the incident to Citi News, the Takwa Divisional Police Commander, DSP Edmond Busumpim, said about 40 other children and a teacher was also injured.
4 of the critically injured persons have been transferred to the 37 military and Kolebu teaching hospitals in Accra. He explained that one Clement Odro, aged 44 years, was in charge of a Sprinter bus driving from Dompim to Ashritieso, a suburb of Takwa, with pupils and teachers of Leaders Bridge Academy School on board. On reaching a section of the road between Dompim and Bonsa, he lost control in the curve and veered into the opposite lane and collided with a truck. The bodies of the deceased have been deposited at Ifiankwanta and Takwa hospital morgues.
Let's move on to some other stories. And if you thought the double track system introduced in the senior high schools was cumbersome, then consider a scenario when 2 separate classes take place in the same classroom structure at the same time.
The 6-unit classroom block housed 4 streams of basic schools running concurrently on a daily basis in what seems like an ugly innovation. That is not all. The over 2,000 pupils are forced to buy their own furniture for lessons. That is the situation at the Majo MA cluster of schools in Accra. There is more in this report.
This is the government-owned Manjo MA cluster of schools. It is not in a remote rural district, as the pictures portray. It is located right here in Accra, the national capital. In this posh structure, 4 streams of pupils, representing 4 different schools, attend classes.
Who is not writing? Who is not having a book?
The school serves 3 districts in the Gawesi municipality. Neighboring areas are Sotum and Ablekuma. Numbering over 2,000, pupils here are forced to create their own form of their woefully inadequate furniture. Wood slabs are placed on cement blocks to act as benches, and the knapsack bags serve as tables. It takes a lot of skill to balance the art of writing with one hand, while the other hand serves as a table to hold the book. With barely 100 decent dual decks in use here, over 80% of pupils either use the innovative benches or simply sit on the dusty floor.
There are 150 students occupying this class, and they've just been asked to go on a break. As you can see, I'm just trying to find a stable position in order not to fall. I'm sitting on 3 big stones, and this is where these students sit to study. This classroom is very, very dusty. There's no proper roofing, and the heat here is very unbearable. Now, these students have to sit on these blocks to manage because there are no seats here, and this is what they use as desks.
Although there's been a direct governmental intervention to abolish the shift system in schools, this community is helpless. The school does not only run a morning and afternoon shift system, it also runs a quadruple track system. Each of the classrooms here has an imaginary demarcation between Group A and Group B. Each group has a dedicated teacher for daily lessons. This first batch of 2 schools with imaginary demarcations have lessons from 7 a.m. to 12 noon before making way for the next batch of 2 schools to begin lessons in the same classroom from midday to 5:30 p.m. But this hasn't solved the congestion issue. Parents who can afford provide furniture for their wards.
My brother attends school at here, so he don't have a chair to sit on it. He has been sitting on blocks and the woods. That's why we brought this desk.
Providing a seat for your ward in this school does not guarantee him or her a permanent seating position. Most times, the owners would have to struggle with other students or show up as early as 5:30 a.m. to secure their own seats or what looks like them.
School needs one contema. Unya ekonyan naso. Inti me balankasa bubo ekonya epipe way board ebubo ekonya. Edi ko school ni mu enu na sisi okwa otena so enu kra sometimes o contem one contem so a na je say onya na konya na so
so say 1 month am ntimi ma ni so lentem e bia bebo 4:30 na mama na nwan so obedwane obeba no uba ntem a obenya baby atena kan so 1 month am dia omtena form nti sanka ometimi abesiesie we na man na nkwala ni bi o ma chemu bi mmekọ ni bi mu akwa hanka be fe be boa yen so awofo no.
There are more than 6 toilet facilities in this cluster, but not a single one of them is convenient for use. The stench emanating from the area is unbearable.
Mpenifu e wo school mu hanom no. Inti toilet e wo toilet 11 seater or 10 seater facility. Nso nkole san fa hanom san kodwonso wo amanfo edan ho. Adenti Authorities
at the school will not talk to the City News team. A sprawling uncompleted building on the compound being put up by the African Development Bank appears to be the school's only hope. This project started 5 years ago, but has stalled. We gather that a new contractor has been awarded a contract, but it's yet to start work.
Not that they don't have the school, the classrooms, they have. But now they are more than the classrooms. So we have a plan to build an additional ones for them. And I think even today we are doing some short cutting and in the other areas.
In fact, the Deputy Minister invited us. We went, we made that input, and we were promised that they will reallocate it so that it will be completed to host some of the children. Well, we're not given any timeline.
Until then, students here at Manjo MA cluster of schools would continue to sit in the dust, study in the heat, and defecate in the open.
For City News, Farida Shaibu.
Moving on, the Ghana Independent Broadcasters Association, GIBA, has noticed that it will resist government's attempt to commit the country's only digital terrestrial television infrastructure, DTT, to Chinese pay TV entity, Star Times. This is part of efforts towards the country's digital migration processes, which have already suffered 3 postponements. The migration was originally scheduled for completion in June 2015. Though GIBA has advocated a timely migration, it argues that the Chinese involvement will compromise media independence and threaten national security. And to give us more light on this, I've been joined by Gloria Hiaji. She is the Executive Secretary of GIBA. Hello, good evening, madam, and thank you very much for joining us on the City Newsroom.
Good evening.
First of all, can you tell us what your issues are with Star Times and why you make these two arguments that they are going to compromise media independence and be a threat to national security.
Okay. Star Times first put in a bid to provide the DTT infrastructure after there had been several stakeholder consultations to decide to move the country forward from analog broadcasting to digital broadcasting. They put in the bid, they won all right, but somewhere along the line it was realized that there had been misrepresentations and they were non-responsive to the tender. Due to that, the tender was abrogated by the government. Star Times took the issue to court about 2 to 3 times in Ghana, and they lost. Then they finally went to the International Court of Arbitration. Unfortunately, we do not have details about that procedure, the proceedings there at the International Court. We have just received some information that is yet to be substantiated. So there's nothing much we can say. But our major concern is that Star Times being brought on board now, has there been any change? Has anything changed from the situation that it was in 2015 when the contract was abrogated? If not, then why are they coming in? And if they are coming in to do anything on the infrastructure, then they would have to go through the same process that they went through in 2012, 2015. That is putting a bid for tender. So it means that a tender will have to be opened for them to submit their bids, and then we take it from there. And in addition, if they have to do anything on the infrastructure as well, there will have to be stakeholder consultations. I can tell you that since 12th of February, there have been no stakeholder consultations with the Ministry of Communications. There's been no information forthcoming, so we do not know what is happening. We are in the dark. As part of the roadmap that was set out for Ghana's migration from analog to digital broadcasting, there's supposed to be a management entity in place. That has representation from all stakeholders. And mandating the National Media Commission to set up the leadership of that board. That board is the one who would have control over the infrastructure, its management and operations and everything. That board hasn't been set up, like I said earlier. And they are the ones who are supposed to call the various stakeholders involved, which is not only GIBA, but the public broadcaster, the National Communications Authority, government itself and all. Call all stakeholders together to assess what needs to be done on the infrastructure before going forward. No single person can just get up and decide that something has to be done on the infrastructure. And we think it's just fair that all stakeholders need to be involved. That going on, we also got information. In fact, we have information, concrete information, to indicate that somewhere, I think either on the 25th or 27th of July this month, Parliament passed a resolution to waive taxes for Star Times to bring in equipment and machinery.
All in relation to this digital migration business? Yes,
because they said they were going to offer some communities, a number of communities, 300 communities, access to satellite television. First and foremost, the question is, why satellite television when the entire country is going digital? We are doing digital terrestrial television. And the choice for the digital terrestrial television was because the stakeholders, having come together, realized that to protect the sovereignty of Ghana and to guard against copyright issues and all other infringement challenges that may come along the way, it was best to go digital terrestrial television. Another case in point, satellite provision has its challenges. About 3 years ago or so, I can't really remember, we know of a satellite that collapsed, and up to now it hasn't gone up yet. So what is it that Star Times is bringing on? For satellite, you cannot confine satellite feed to a locality. Currently it is available everywhere. Television operators are providing access
to satellites.
Yes, to communities, to wherever it is. They were not granted any tax waivers. So why are they now granting StarTimes tax waivers to bring in equipment and machinery? What kinds of equipment and machinery are they bringing in the first place? Okay. And if they could grant those tax waivers, then why not the local television operators, so that they would also be able to develop themselves? Then they talk about StarTimes providing local content. What local content? When we have NAFTI here, we have other local producers. So why then go in for a loan facility? Because to the best of our knowledge, that is what the minister has been saying, an Exim grant facility. So why go in for a grant and give to a Chinese company?
But I mean, all these queries that you are raising, I mean, have you put them before the ministry?
We have put everything.
And what has the ministry said?
There has been no response. Absolutely no response. We submitted a position paper on the draft. In fact, there is a draft DTT broadcasting policy that's supposed to guide the whole digital migration, digital terrestrial television process. That we met the consultations in February, discussed that, and stakeholders submitted inputs, to which Geba also submitted.
But unfortunately, we'll have to end. We are hard pressed for time, but I'm sure we'll pick up the conversation and see what happens from that point. Thank you very much. So you heard Gloria Ahiaji, Executive Secretary of Geba, giving us some more clarity on all things related to the digital migration process. Let's move on. And despite a decision by the Wassa and Menfi Traditional Authority not to join the yet to be created Western North region, some youth from the 3 districts, namely Wassa and Menfi East, West and Central, today demonstrated at Asankregwa, demanding to be added to the new region. So far, only 9 out of the 23 metropolitan municipal district assemblies in the Western region have agreed collectively to be part of the Western North region. The secretary of the group, known as the Amenfe Youth Movement for Western North, is Dennis Kojo Apia. He spoke to Citi News on the latest development.
We have engaged the commission severally, only for us to know that we are not part of the new region. And as youth in the 3 districts, we think that it is not fair. So today we are calling on the government, we are calling on the commission to include us in the new region. We have already sent our petition to the president, and today we met you, media men, to further communicate our views to the president. One of our reasons is that when you consider proximity, we think that it will be better for the Amenfi state to be part of the Western North. If you are a citizen in Amenfi, and let's say you reside, let's say in Patase or Torumpai or Tehenete or Fojokum, going to your regional capital, which is Sekendi Takradi, will take you not less.
Youth of Tripoli in the northern region are demanding an inclusion into the yet-to-be-created northeast region. This is in protest to a petition submitted to the president by the Dagbon Traditional Council.
In an interview with Citi News, spokesperson of the group, Suleimana Sadiq, says the people of Tripoli will still keep their allegiances to the Dagbon Traditional Council, even when the new region is created.
The majority of Tripoli want to join the northeast region for developmental purpose. Indeed, we owe allegiance to Dagbon before we were enskined at Dagbon. But the fact is that the claim by the Dagbon Traditional Council is not to cede any land of Dagbon. And our understanding of that clause is the fact that all districts or lands of the Dagbon Kingdom will not be ceded. But then Tripoli district and the land of Tripoli is the land of the people of Tripoli. In any case, we have our own cultural lineage. We do not have any ancestral, lineage to Dagbon. It is the chieftaincy, and the claim is that if we move to northeast region, we wouldn't be paying allegiance.
And this is where we draw the curtain on tonight's edition of Citi Newsroom. Do visit citinewsroom.com for more news. My name is Feme Dunyame.
And my name is Nathan Carl. Thank you very much for watching and have a great evening.